Did you know that it's not just plants that are placed on farms or fields? Because sometimes there are also unusual things and creatures that are taken care of on the farm. Yes, this is the snake farm and this is the crocodile farm. And those are just some of the extraordinary farms you'll see in this video. Here we'll show you different kinds of farms. But before that, please like and subscribe. That means a lot to us content creators. Thank you, and let's get started. Number 12, Japan's wasabi farms. Amid the cold, quiet Japanese Alps valleys, there's a unique farm where growing crops is nearly impossible. The real wasabi, not the usual spicy green paste that we often see in sushi restaurants. Most of the time, that's just horseradish mixed with food coloring. We're discussing the true Wasabi japonica, a delicate, sensitive, and extremely difficult to care for root that can be temperamental. Priced above $300 per kilo. One of the most famous wasabi farms in all of Japan is the Daiyo Wasabi Farm in Nagano Prefecture, which started back in 1915. Instead of rice fields or soil, you'll find this farm in rivers with clear and cold flowing water, covered with black nets to protect it from the sun. Why? Because even a little too much heat will immediately kill the plant. If the water gets a bit warm or lacks oxygen, it won't survive. Even the amount of nutrients in the water, if it's too much or too little, nothing will grow. Here the farm is different. They make artificial canals and terraced waterways to imitate the natural flow of the mountain. But what's really tough is that it takes 3 years before you can harvest a single wasabi root. And when you finally harvest it, you still need to grate it using a special grater made from shark skin called oroshi. You also need to eat it right away, because after 15 minutes, its flavor and spiciness disappear. Within 30 minutes, almost nothing is left. Honestly, more than 95% of wasabi in the world is fake. So in Japan, real wasabi farming is not just a business, it's an art. For top-tier sushi chefs in Tokyo and Kyoto, they're willing to pay a premium just for fresh roots. It's more than a dipping sauce. It's a performance, a show of respect for food, and a tradition that's rarely seen nowadays. Number 11, the floating farm of the Netherlands. Where did you last see a farm? Probably in the countryside, right? Green fields, wide grasslands, and cows happily grazing. But in the Netherlands, there's a farm that's literally floating. Welcome to the floating farm of Rotterdam, the world's first self-sustaining floating dairy farm. Yes, you heard that right. There's a farm floating in the middle of a busy port. It's full of cargo ships and cranes. This farm has around 40 cows' robotic milking machines, a rainwater system, and its own way of recycling animal waste. And it doesn't require any land. It was built in 2019 as an experiment by a Dutch company called Belladon, in partnership with experts in sustainable agriculture. This farm has 3 floors. The top floor houses cows and features a transparent roof for natural light. The middle floors for milk processing and animal feed. And the bottom floor contains all the utilities and the flotation system to keep it balanced on the water. What's more impressive is that it's not just the unique location. Even the feeding system for the cows uses urban waste, like leftover vegetables from the market, spent grain from breweries, and grass from city parks. Rainwater is also collected for cleaning and drinking. The milk is also processed here, bottled and sold, all within the floating farm. And beyond that, it has a broader purpose. At a time when the effects of climate change are getting worse and some coastal cities are sinking, floating farms like this could be a solution. They don't get flooded, they don't require large tracts of land, and they even reduce carbon emissions from transportation. Right now, they're also considering floating chicken farms, floating vegetable farms, and floating greenhouses. In simple terms, the cows of Rotterdam are already part of the agricultural future. Floating on water, fed with leftovers and milked by robots. Number 10, the crocodile farms of Thailand. You wouldn't expect it. But just outside Bangkok in Thailand, there's one of the most surprising types of farming in the world: crocodile farms. This isn't a zoo, nor is it for conservation. Here, thousands of crocodiles are raised for their meat, skin, and yes, sometimes even for security. The sight: hundreds of large tubs, each with a mini dinosaur sinking in at the same time. On these farms, Siamese and saltwater crocodiles are raised almost like chickens in a poultry farm. This industry started in the 1950s, but in the 80s, demand exploded. And now, more than 1,000 crocodile farms are registered in Thailand. The Samut Prakan Crocodile Farm in Zoo alone has more than 100,000 crocodiles, the largest in the world. But why is that? The main product, crocodile skin, is used for high-end bags and belts, shoes and wallets. Thai crocodile leather is known for its durability and beautiful pattern. The crocodiles are slaughtered at the exact age to ensure even belly scales, which is the most important part of the skin. But that's not all. Crocodile meat is now also being sold as an exotic dish in select restaurants. There are also other products like crocodile oil and even crocodile blood capsules that are said to have health benefits. But there isn't enough evidence yet. And what's even more surprising is that crocodiles are also being used as a security system. In some provinces in Thailand, there are fences full of live crocodiles to prevent thieves. And even wild elephants, of course, there's controversy. According to critics, there are issues with animal welfare, inbreeding, and the illegal trade of wild crocodiles. According to the authorities, these farms are said to help protect wild species. Number 9, the snail farms in France. If you visit the countryside of France in Burgundy, Provence, or the Lower Valley, you might mistake those farms for vineyards. But up close, you'll notice thousands of snails slowly crawling on the grass with nets above them for shade. This is the world of heliciculture, the farming of snails for food. This isn't just a French fad. It's a legitimate industry with its own guidelines, science, and high demand. The most iconic is escargot, a famous French delicacy where snails are cooked in garlic butter and herbs. How is this done? Every spring, adult snails are bred at a controlled temperature. All of them are hermaphrodites, so each one can lay up to 100 eggs. After hatching, they are transferred to an open-air snail farm, an outdoor space with grass, a misting system, and enough shade. As they grow, they are fed calcium-rich snail feed to strengthen their shells. It takes up to 12 months before they can be harvested. This process is very sensitive. If it's too dry, the snail won't move. Too wet, it could drown. Too hot, it will die. And even when you harvest them, the collection is still done by hand. There's no shortcut here. Patience, that's the investment. After picking, the snails need to be placed in a purging container first so they can expel the contents of their stomachs. Only then will they be processed. Some are canned, frozen, or cooked right away. The best ones are sold live to fine dining restaurants. And even though this is a luxury dish in other countries, at the ground level, thousands of hours of manual labor go into it. Snail farms are quiet. Everything moves slowly. But there's a unique sense of peace. It's as if the plants are saying, don't rush the world. Number 8, iceberg farming in Newfoundland. On the coast of Newfoundland and Labrador in Canada, there's a type of farming you would hardly think is possible, because it's not done on land, but in the middle of the ocean. Here the crop isn't plants, but ice. Large blocks of ancient ice are cut, taken from the sea, melted and bottled as one of the purest drinking waters in the world. Yes, you heard that right. In this place, ice is the harvest. Every spring and summer, there's what's called the Iceberg Alley, where thousands of blocks of ice come down from Greenland, floating in the cold waters of the Atlantic. Many of these icebergs are over 10,000 years old, fragments of memories from the last ice age. Using ships, winches, nets, and sometimes even dynamite, iceberg harvesters carefully collect the blocks of ice. They melt it down at coastal facilities and the pure water is bottled for sale. This ice contains almost no minerals or impurities. It's so pure that experts say it's like drinking air. Because of its extremely pure quality, a small amount of minerals actually needs to be added just to meet basic health standards. But it's not just water that's being sold. There are companies that actually export ice for expensive cocktails. Just like in five-star bars in Dubai, where drinks are chilled using ice from glaciers that have existed for thousands of years. Although it seems far from traditional farming, iceberg farming has the same system. Find a renewable resource, collect it properly, process it, package it, and sell it. The only difference is that the farm is the Atlantic Ocean, and the harvest melts faster than clouds in the summer. Camel beauty farms, Saudi Arabia. In the deserts of Saudi Arabia, where everything is surrounded by sand and heat, there's a kind of farm that's different from all the rest. It's not for meat, milk, or fur. Here, the main product is beauty. That's right, welcome to the world of camel beauty farms. These are places where camels are specially cared for to join beauty pageants. In these competitions, like the King Abdulaziz Camel Festival, the total prize money is over $60 million, so the competition is no joke. Here, camels are not just simply cared for. They are bathed, massaged, fed a special diet, and cooled with misting systems so their fur doesn't get rough. And if you're wondering how the beauty of a camel is measured, here are the standards: the shape of the head, the length of the neck, the curve of the lips, the posture of the back, and even the way the ears hang. Even features and an elegant walk are also important. There are bonus points if the eyelashes are long and the eyes look gentle. Some camels are rubbed with oil to make their fur shinier. In more elite farms, some even get their lips and noses injected with Botox to make them look bigger. Yes, that's how serious the industry is. But more than just a contest, it's also a symbol of culture. For many Bedouin families, camels are an inheritance passed down through generations. Owners take pride in their victories, just like horse racing in other countries. There are banners, trophies, and photos of champions hanging on the farm. In a world accustomed to productivity and mass production, Camel Beauty Farms is like an art gallery in the middle of the desert. A kind of farming not for survival, but for admiration. Number 6. The snake farms of Vietnam. In the middle of the hot and humid fields of the Mekong Delta in Vietnam, there is a type of farm that is extremely rare and almost unbelievable: the snake farms. Yes, you heard that right. These are farms where they don't grow rice or vegetables, but snakes. Some are venomous, some are not, but all are raised for a single purpose: source of venom, to be made into medicine, or sometimes to be made into food. The most well-known among them is the Dong Tam Snake Farm, which is run by the Vietnamese military itself. It was established during the war to produce their own anti-venom. Today, more than 50 species of snakes are cared for here, from cobras and vipers to pythons. Some are milked for their venom using a thin membrane placed over a container. Others are sold for traditional medicine or made into liquor with a snake inside the bottle. When you enter one, it's like stepping into another world. Cages hold slithering snakes, while shallow pits contain writhing bodies. The technicians wear gloves and helmets while extracting venom from the poisonous ones. And if you think that's all, some of these farms even have restaurants inside. Here you can try grilled python, cobra soup, or snake wine. A bottle of wine with a whole snake inside. It's a common gift in Vietnam as a symbol of strength, but not everyone is pleased. Some environmentalist groups claim animals are being illegally caught in forests and that some facilities are unsafe. So even though the government has regulations, it's difficult for them to enforce these continuously. The snake farms in Vietnam are proof that not all farms rely on sunlight or soil. Instead, they rely on venom, meat, and the belief that scales and fangs have healing properties and can cure illnesses. Number 5, the ostrich farms of South Africa. In the dry land of the Little Karoo region in South Africa, you can find one of the most unique farms in the world. The ostrich farms. These are not ordinary poultry farms. Here, It's not just the eggs or meat that are sought after, but also the feathers, skin, and even the ostrich eggs are turned into products. And beyond that, it's also a tourist attraction. They say the ostrich farming industry started as early as the 19th century. Back then, ostrich feathers were so expensive that they were called white gold. They were used as decorations on the hats of wealthy people in Europe. And they say it was even more expensive than diamonds based on weight. Today, feathers are no longer as fashionable, but profits still come from meat, high-end leather, and even eggshell art. Ostrich skin is made into bags, belts, shoes, and the interiors of luxury cars. A single ostrich can produce more than a meter of premium leather with a unique quill pattern. In these farms, you can see hundreds of giant birds running in the fields. They can run at almost 70 kilometers per hour. It takes experience to guide them. One wrong move and a strong kick can cause injury. And that's not all. Some of the biggest farms, like Kango Ostrich Farm, have attractions open to the public. You used to be able to ride an ostrich, but that's no longer allowed due to welfare concerns. Instead, they just show how to take care of the birds and how primitive they are. They're like living dinosaurs. There are also souvenir shops on the farm where they sell decorated eggshells. They're painted, carved, made into lampshades or jewelry boxes. A single egg can hold more than 1.5 liters of liquid. South Africa remains the top ostrich exporter, but Namibia, Botswana, and the United States are also catching up. Imagine a farm that's like a combination of a factory, a zoo, and a theme park. But everything centers on one huge bird that resembles a prehistoric creature. Number 4, alpaca farms in Peru. At over 13,000 feet high on the edge of the Andes in Peru, where the air is thin and the weather is harsh, you will find a type of farm that you won't easily see anywhere else in the world: the alpaca farms. But forget about fences, tractors, and barns for now. Here the farms are vast, breezy, and seem endless. Every day, herds of alpacas roam here like ancient guardians of the mountains. For more than 6,000 years, the Andean people have relied on alpacas, not just for their wool, but for their very livelihood and culture. Today, more than 80% of all alpacas in the world are still found in Peru. Alpaca fleece, known as Andean gold, is not just soft. It is hypoallergenic, finer than cashmere, and naturally comes in 22 colors from white to black. But the most expensive one is the one that's scaring people. It's called royal alpaca, usually coming from young alpacas, called cria. In the mountain communities, farming is done collectively. They share the pasture, and every year they shear the wool together. The process is done by hand to protect the animal and avoid damaging the valuable wool. But this is not just a business, it's a way of life. Many still live in stone huts with grass roofs. They rely on herbal medicine and rituals that include prayers, offerings, and beliefs, a clear sign of respect for nature. Even with the challenges of the global market and often receiving low prices, they continue to fight. The government and some NGOs help by giving them more direct access to consumers and ensuring fair income. The scenery is truly breathtaking. Endless pastures, cool breeze, and shepherds who seem to be a part of nature itself. In Peru, each alpaca is not just an animal, it is a bearer of history and the life of an ancient culture. Number 3, vertical fish farms of Singapore. Imagine this, a country almost the same size as Metro Manila. No farmland or deep rivers, nearly all food is imported. How can they produce their own food? Singapore's answer is simple: build vertical fish farms. Yes, this is real. It's true, there are buildings that look like warehouses, but inside, there are multi-level fish tanks with fish swimming on every floor, like tilapia, catfish, and sea bass. Not in the sea, not in a fish pond. They're inside a building. The most advanced here is the Apollo Aquaculture Group. On the outside, it looks like an ordinary factory. But when you go inside, it's like you've entered an aquarium combined with a tech lab. There are AI, sensors, automated feeders, and LED lights that look like disco lights for the fish. This was made as a response to the country's food security problem. Under the government's 30x30 initiative, their goal is to get 30% of their nutrition from local production by the year 2030. And a big part of this is the vertical fish farms. Using automation, each tank has controlled temperature, pH level, oxygen, and food. They no longer rely on the weather. No storms, no floods. It's always harvest season. It produces more than 500 tons of seafood every year. It's still small compared to the total demand, but it's enough to prove that urban farming is possible in the middle of the city. The challenge is the initial costs are high. You need engineers who are skilled in software and aquaculture, but this is seen as the future of farming, especially in countries that lack land but are rich in technology, like Hong Kong, Tokyo, or even New York. In Singapore, the fish farm is not outdoors. It's above, indoors, and in the future. This is proof that nowadays, even farming can be taken to the next level. Number 2, Arctic vegetable farms of Svalbard, Norway. At the end of the world, about 1,300 kilometers from the North Pole, lies a land of ice and silence, Svalbard, a remote archipelago under Norway. It's often linked to polar bears, glaciers, and the renowned global seed vault. But beneath its frozen land, there is a scene that seems impossible, a vegetable garden in the middle of the ice. Yes, a vegetable garden. In a place where there is almost 4 months without sunlight, there are lettuce, kale, basil, and microgreens being grown. No sunlight or soil? Yet there's a harvest, and it's not science fiction. This is Polar Permaculture Solutions, the northernmost farm on the entire planet. Using old shipping containers, LED lights, and high-tech climate control systems, plants are grown inside cold steel boxes. It's a greenhouse in the permafrost, and inside it feels like a laboratory. The temperature is regulated, the air is controlled, there's enough carbon dioxide and moisture, and the shelves are arranged vertically to maximize space. The one who started this is an American chef named Benjamin Vidmar, who in 2015 decided to change the way food works in Svalbard. Because before, a single head of lettuce would cost up to $8. All food had to be flown in from mainland Norway. Costly, slow, and unsustainable. But because of this Arctic farming, now the local residents have their own harvest. Restaurants are serving Arctic salad. Students visit to learn that food can grow even next to the ice. The place's carbon footprint is gradually shrinking. Outside there's ice, snow, and polar night. But inside the container, green lettuce glows under the LED lights. There's a quiet flow of nutrient water and warm steam from the compost tank. It's like a science project that became reality, and it could also be a glimpse into the future of farming. Number 1, bluefin tuna ranches of the Mediterranean. And here we are at the most unique farm in the entire countdown, and possibly the most expensive as well. On the coasts of Spain, Italy, Croatia, and Malta, there are farms under the sea. You won't see any fences or tractors. Instead, there are giant circular nets floating beneath the waves. And inside them, one of the most expensive and fastest fish in the world is thrashing about, the Atlantic bluefin tuna. Yes, this is a tuna farm, but it's not like fish farms where fish are raised from eggs. Young tuna are caught alive from the sea and transferred to offshore enclosures. Here, they are raised, taking advantage of their speed and strength until they reach the perfect market weight. This is called tuna ranching. An adult bluefin tuna can be sold for over $1 million at Japanese sushi auctions, and because of this, it became like gold. The fish do not breed in captivity. They need the open sea, always moving, and they easily die when stressed. So instead of true farming, they use a hybrid system. First, they catch them, raise them in a ranch, then harvest. Every spring, when the tuna pass through the Strait of Gibraltar, this is where they are caught. They are transferred to nets as big as a football field and as deep as 20 meters. They are towed back to the Mediterranean coast and taken care of there. On the surface, it seems like the calmness of the sea, but underneath, it's like a ballet of sea monsters. Fast, powerful, priceless. There are divers who look like ants in the middle of a coliseum of muscles and fins. And the visuals, it's like watching a nature documentary with a billion-dollar industry behind it. But this isn't without controversy. Environmentalists say this isn't a real solution to overfishing because they're still catching tuna from the wild. It's like they're just delaying the harvest. But according to the industry, there are new monitoring tools, better regulations, and collaboration with scientists. In the end, it's still unclear whether tuna ranching is the sustainable future of fishing or just a temporary remedy for a gradually depleting species. But one thing is certain, there is no other farm in the world as high stakes, as dangerous, and as mesmerizing as this.